You ever heard of those situations where there's a couple that's like going through a separation or divorce, or they're just not together anymore, whatever, and you hear some of the things they're saying about each other or even doing to one another?
Yeah.
Especially in like a divorce, you start hearing like how they end up changing and acting completely different, and you're just like, isn't that the same person you had children with, you used to sleep next to, that you had a family and you did life with, and now all of Welcome to the NOIRPOISED podcast, where wisdom is power is more than just a motto. You ever heard of those situations where there's a couple that's like going through a separation or divorce, or they're just not together anymore, whatever, and you hear some of the things they're saying about each other or even doing to one another?
Yeah.
Especially in like a divorce, you start hearing like how they end up changing and acting completely different, and you're just like, isn't that the same person you had children with, you used to sleep next to, that you had a family and you did life with, and now all of a sudden it's like, because things are not on great terms, you've switched character.
Right.
That has always been interesting to me. I've never been through it, and I pray that we never go through it. Mm-hmm. But that's always been interesting to me because, in my opinion, it always shows who the true individual is. It shows their character and
like
who they are internally.
Yeah,
who you were all along. Because I feel like even when you're hurt or you're angry with someone, in anger, I get it. You may say things out of frustration, but I feel like to take intentional actions to harm someone or to hurt someone in any way that you claim you used to love, to me, I just don't see how that's possible. Because I feel like even if you are hurt by someone you love, the most you'll probably do is like, I'll distance myself. I don't want you in my surroundings. I may not talk to you anymore. But to go out of your way to harm them or hurt them or do things that you know is going to be like a deficit for them in some way, is just like, oh, you really evil. You know what I mean?
What's crazy is I think when someone is hurt, they either try to, by default, these are not the only two options from my experience, but they either try to hurt the person that hurt them, or they hurt themselves somewhere. And it doesn't have to be like a physical hurt. It could be something like, they start drinking more, or self-sabotaging behavior.
Right. See, the self-sabotaging makes more sense to me. It's not right.
Yeah.
But it makes more sense to me because in my mind, I'm like, if I loved you, I married you, I have a family with you, I don't see myself, regardless of what you ever do, that I will go out of my way to bring harm to you if I genuinely love you. Because even when you're hurt, you don't stop loving the person.
Yeah.
You're hurt. You're just like, I'm not going to allow you to treat me a type of way, or I'm not going to deal with your behaviors, but that doesn't mean that I stop loving you. And if it's a situation where it's so easy to do those things, you never love them.
I think it's one thing that you have to factor in.
My opinion, though.
Not making any excuses for anyone, of course, but those situations that do get extreme, I think they get extreme over time because there's always a tit for tat.
True.
Like it might be, I don't know, the guy's working overtime and, or the girl's working overtime and the guy cheats on her. Mm-hmm. And they try to learn to forgive each other, but then she also is hurt. So she's like, I'm going to cheat on you back. And then the guy, then says, I thought we were past this. I thought you made it seem like we were past this. Now I'm hurt and I'm going to hurt you. And then if kids are involved, like they start using the kids against each other. I think it just builds up to that point where now it's like, I'm just trying to get even. It's kind of like where they say misery loves company. Mm-hmm. I think it's sort of like that as well.
Yeah, and to me, I just don't think that that's love.
Yeah, I don't think so
that
either.
You didn't really love them if that's your approach. I think if anything, you would take yourself out of the equation.
Yeah.
But not to go out of your way to hurt the person.
Yeah.
Then I don't think that's love.
Yeah, because I think the bottom line would be, if you truly care about the person, I think what you're trying to say is you would rather stay in the hurt yourself versus going back and hurting them purposely.
Not even hurt myself. I would rather none, if I'm honest.
Yeah,
but I mean, I'm saying I just don't see how you can do that to someone you actually love. Mm-hmm. And that goes for self as well. So if you love yourself, you're not going to self-sabotage yourself either. Right. So it goes both ways in my opinion.
But that actually brings me to a question I want to ask you. Do you think how we behave or react to being hurt is learned, or do you think it's just something that's innate in each of us?
Both.
How so?
I think it's learned because I think everything is learned behavior. I think based on what we've grown up seeing, or in what we see in our environment, what we watch, what we hear, we start to assume or subconsciously, maybe, I don't know, we start to then believe that that's how we should react to something. So a lot of times, like, people will get hurt or be angry and they react based on how they think they're supposed to react versus how they actually want to react. And then I think there's situations where, no, this is your character. This is how you really want to react to the situation. Like, there's some women who will go out and feel the need to damage the guy's car because they found out that, like, he was doing something crazy. That could just mean that she's crazy. Or it could mean that that's what she's seen before and she's like, this is where it's going to hit him hard and this is what I'm going to do. You know, so I think it could be both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thinking about this episode made me realize that the way I react towards hurt was actually learned from my father, actually. And I have just a quick story that's not related to this, but I'll tie it in. There's a popular movie called Christmas Story. You've heard us talk about it before. But there's a scene where the kid says a bad word and the mother puts, soap in his mouth. Like, that was a punishment, I guess, back then. He's laying in bed and he's like, he's angry. He's pissed. He's thinking about, man, what if this soap was like poison, right? And I just got blind from it. And my parents will feel so bad that they ever did this to me. So he's thinking about, like, if something worse happens to me, then you're really going to be sorry. And that's going to be like my revenge. I realized in a lot of ways my father was like that, where if he was hurt, he would say something or do something to show, like,
the person feel guilty.
Right. To make the person feel guilty, or kind of say, like, because of what you did, you put me in a worse situation.
That's a Haitian thing, bro. You know what? I take that back. I'm not going to say that's a Haitian thing, but I know people in my family who do that too.
Well, I'm going to say hopefully because I'm actually kind of biased because I'm me, but I realized that I did a lot of that. So, like, my family has a bad habit of eating late, right? And as they were getting up there in age, as you know, I kept on telling them, should eat early or whatever the case is. So then I told them, if you guys don't finish eating by a certain time, I'm not going to eat dinner.
I remember that.
And for a while that worked. And I think that just only reinforced that behavior for me. And I think I kind of carry that in other areas of my life as well. I had
more of a self-sabotager.
Right. I'm more of a self-sabotager.
And hoping that the person cares enough to make a change.
Either that or I like to tell myself, don't respond out of anger because sometimes you say things you can't take it back.
I'm more of that person. That's why I go mute now.
So I kind of train myself to hold in the hurt, hold in the anger. And sometimes it just comes out like self-sabotage. Like, I'm someone who I think I'm pretty confident, but in those moments when I'm hurt, I find myself thinking belittling thoughts. I think a lot of people, believe it or not, go through that. Like, you have those thoughts, like, maybe they didn't really love me or they don't really care about me. That's why they did X, Y, and Z. And I think that's a way of me just coping with the hurt versus saying that out loud. And I don't know if you ever had a moment where you kind of like break out of that hurt and you think to yourself, like, oh, what was that? Like, and I wanted to ask you my next question, which is, in those moments when you finally get over the hurt, or maybe you start getting over the hurt, what are some things that you learn about yourself?
That's a good question. I'm trying to think of different moments when I was hurt and how I reacted. And I feel like I often distance myself from people. It's either I distance myself from people or I just cut them off. I've cut a lot of people out of my life. Well, I'm just like, you hurt me too many times, so now I'm going to protect myself, so I'm going to cut you out.
Yeah.
That's usually my reaction based on, like, if I think of like different situations. There's only a few people that I have kept in my life, and even with those relationships, I've created some form of barrier. So that way that person does not have the opportunity to hurt me that way again.
Yeah. And why that? Like, if you had to probe deeper, why do you think your reaction is to cut people off?
To guard myself.
But do you think that's something that you learned or just something you came up with? What I'm trying to say is, how did you figure out that worked for you?
Oh, I would have to go real deep to answer that question, which I don't want to do. So, from childhood, I think I've learned it based off experience. When people hurt me and I kept giving more opportunities and I was continuously hurt, I just learned that people aren't going to change.
Yeah.
So I have to then protect myself. And that's basically how I still do that now, I think.
Yeah.
I'm like, if like a loved one does something where I'm just like, oh, okay, copy. Doesn't mean I'm going to not talk to you ever, or I'm not going to still be, cool with you, but I'm going to move very different with you because I've learned.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I definitely think I've learned that from experience, though not from watching. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree with that because I'm sort of the same way. Well, I would say I'm the same way. Like, if I'm hurt, if I could cut you off, like, I would. And I think the only difference is I learned that by you know how like growing up in the 90s, you know, you didn't have cell phones like that.
Yeah.
So if someone at school, this is elementary school, for example, I was close with him. I let another friend of mine borrow a video game. This is my favorite game. The next day he came to me, he's supposed to play it overnight, give it back to me. He told me like he lost it. I'm like, what do you mean you lost it? Like I gave it to you at the end of school and why don't you have it? And he said, I think, let's say somebody named Joey took it. And I was like, why do you think Joey took it? I knew Joey. I was really close with Joey. And he said, because Joey saw him putting it in his book bag and then he pushed them, act like he's playing with them. And the video game fell. And after that, like, he didn't see it anymore. Like he kind of just forgot like him playing. So he thinks Joey did that on purpose. And the reason why I had a feeling Joey did it is his brother owned a video game store where I originally got it from. And when I was telling him about the game, he's like, oh, I think my brother sold that game. Actually, I'm like, yeah, he did. So it was kind of his way of getting it back. So I was hurt by that because like he's supposed to be a friend of mine and I didn't have definitive proof that he did it. I only had assumption. And the only place I felt peace about it was coming home. By default, to me, peace looked like just go home, just separate yourself from the world,
the situation.
Yeah, from the situation, and just stay home. So that was my way of coping with hurt. But I also learned about myself that a lot of times, and I think it's most people now, you cope with hurt with anger, by anger.
Yeah, well, anger is literally, you're usually angry because you're hurt by something, or disappointed, I guess.
Yeah, I used to think of, I would just get sad or whatever the case is, but as I got older, I realized that well, let me say this first. I learned that there's different kind of angers that people have in response to that, and I'm gonna read some off, and you could tell me, which you think you are or which you resonate with. The first one is passive anger, so kind of like passive aggressiveness, but you have that anger. The next
one. Are you gonna read like specifics about it or no?
Oh, I could read specifics about it. Yeah,
let's do that.
So it shows up as sarcasm, avoidance, silent treatment, or subtle digs. The person may not yell, but their resentment leaks out indirectly. Second is verbal anger. This is obviously expressed through sharp words, yelling, insults, criticism. There's no physical aggression, but the damage is emotional and relational. Then there's chronic anger, a long-lasting state of bitterness or resentment. The person carries anger everywhere, often tied to past trauma or unresolved issues. The fourth is volatile or explosive anger, sudden, intense outbursts that can feel unpredictable. The fifth is self-inflicted anger, anger turned inward, negative self-talk, guilt, shame, self-blame, which could lead to depression, self-sabotage, or harmful behavior. The sixth is judgmental anger, which is directed at others through blame, criticism. It kind of says like, I'm right, you're wrong mindset. The seventh is overwhelmed anger. It comes from a place of stress, burnout, or feeling trapped. Anger is really about helplessness, like snapping when one more thing is added to your plate. And the fifth one is called righteous anger, which feels morally justified, like against injustice or unfair treatment.
Interesting. I think I check off a few of them.
Yeah, I think I check off a few of them as well.
Yeah.
Passive anger, definitely.
Copy. When I saw silent treatment, I was just like, oh, that's me. I literally would be like, yeah, I'm gonna get a little break from you for a while.
I think I'm not gonna say I do a good job, but I feel like there's a lot of my anger that I don't let out, but it comes out when I'm alone. Like I say a lot of crazy things just to like kind of get it out there, or sometimes I write it down and like I'll look back at it a few hours later and be like, whoa, that was crazy. So I do think I do have verbal anger as well. Chronic anger, I don't think that's me. It takes a lot of energy to be angry.
It does.
For a long time.
It really does.
And I always
chronic anger is the one like you hold it against them for like a long period of time.
Resentment, bitterness and resentment.
No. I was just like, after a while, I was just like, cut you off. That's it. I don't hate you. I just don't want you in my life. Yeah.
Explosive anger, sudden. Ooh. Yeah, I think that's.
I could do that sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't think I do it anymore. But I think growing up, I had little moments of those. Yeah, for sure. Like I could think of my 20s where like I spaz and people are like, what just happened? Yeah. But it's like a bunch of things that's been building up and finally it became an outburst. Yeah.
Self-inflicted anger, negative self-talk, guilt, shame, self-blame. I think a lot of people deal with this one in particular. Because I think sometimes on the surface, we try to show people like we don't want to take accountability. Like I know you hurt me and you're in the wrong, but deep down inside we're, constantly wondering like, what did I do to deserve this? Or maybe I did something wrong. Judgmental anger, which is directed at others through blame and criticism. And overwhelmed anger comes from stress, burnout, or feeling trapped. It's probably everybody nowadays, honestly.
Look at the episode Burnout.
And then righteous anger, which I think it's normal, honestly. I don't think there's anything wrong with righteous anger.
Which one was the righteous again?
Is anger that feels morally justified, like against injustice or unfair treatment. Like if you see somebody, I don't know, hitting an old lady or old man, like you're gonna get angry, but they call that like righteous
I see.
anger.
Okay.
And I think what was important for me to read through these was I was surprised at how many boxes I did check at some point in my life. And it made me realize that, anger is natural, but it doesn't always look the same. One thing I've tried to do is, we spoke about this the other day, how emotions are like signals. So instead of focusing on the emotion, look at what is it trying to tell you. Yeah, because usually when someone hurts you, it's not really what they just did, but it's
something internally for you. It has nothing to do with the other person. It's often you're being triggered in some way, shape, or form.
And I learned that the more often you get angry at something, the faster you'll get angry with it.
What do you mean? The more often you get angry at something, the faster you'll get angry with it?
So like, let's say you're driving, you're commuting to work, and 25 minutes into the commute, somebody cut you off, you get a little angry. And then, but that happens every day. You train your brain to react like this to even at the thought of somebody just cutting you off, you get more angry. That's why you kind of feel like anger sometimes could be sudden. It's because you trained your brain to be angry at a particular situation.
That makes sense. Yeah.
In your opinion, if anger is a signal, what is it trying to tell you about yourself?
I mean, honestly, I'm always, this, but I'm always like overanalyzing every feeling that I feel towards someone or something, just to kind of like grow through it. So for me, I always, if I get angry at something, now I look at it and I'm like, oh, what am I not healed from in this particular situation? Or what am I still holding against this particular person?
Yeah.
That's how I view it now.
Do you think that your anger is always tied to something personal?
Believe it or not, yeah. Because even like if I see something happening random in the street, if I think really hard about it, it'll go back to something, a certain view that I have, or a certain experience that I had as a child, or something that happened to someone that I loved that makes it so triggering for me.
The reason why I ask is I've personally never understood how a stranger can make you angry. Like I've had people,
because they shouldn't have that much power. Right?
Yeah, it's like I don't know you. Like it's not personal to me. Like that's why I don't understand people getting angry about politics. Celebrities. Like I've had people call me the N-word on the street before.
Yeah, that's happened. Yeah, you were unbothered.
Yeah, I'm like,
you laughed at it, and I was just like, that was rude.
Yeah, I mean it was rude, but I'm like, I will probably never see you again.
Yeah,
I don't know your name, so it doesn't mean anything to me. Like for me to get angry, it has to be something or someone that's really close to home or personal. But I think what happens to a lot of people is whenever you have like that hurt built up, everything just starts to look personal. Because I could think of one moment when I'm gonna pray for this man because he didn't deserve me lashing out like it's some random MTA employee. God bless you, random MTA employee. But it was a moment of my life where I felt like nobody really cared. And
20s.
Yeah, 20s. Nobody really cared. And not only that too, but I feel like
a lot of people go through that in their 20s for some reason.
In this particular case, I feel like I first started to think or see evidence that people were kind of taking advantage of my kindness. Like I didn't think of it before. Like people used to always say, "Oh, you're so nice. I don't want anyone to take advantage of you." I'm like I was so blinded by just trying to help people. Yeah, I was naive. But I think around that time, I started to see evidence of it, and the frustration grew. I went to like swipe my Metro card. I was already running late for work. The guy said something to me that I perceived that he wouldn't have said. Like he didn't say to the person in front of me. I think we're all having the same issue. I don't remember what I said, but I yelled at him. I didn't say any curse words, but I was just very rude to him. And I never forgot that because it was my first time I had an outburst like that towards a stranger. Thankfully, it never happened after that again because that was a really like eye-opening moment for me. But I think what happens to a lot of people is that hurt builds up so much that anything that wasn't personal starts looking personal. Like, oh, you're attacking me now because you're one of the people who...
I think I've had that experience.
You're one of the people who are trying to take advantage of me kind of thing. Like, I didn't think of it
you assume that everyone falls into that bracket when it's not
Right.
really the case.
Right.
People just living their lives
Yeah.
innocently. Yeah. That I totally understand. I think I've had that experience as well in my 20s. And
Yeah.
it was something similar where you start to look at everybody funny like, do you actually
Yeah.
genuinely like me, or am I convenient for you?
Yeah.
So I think we all go through that.
Which makes me wonder as well, the topic of forgiveness. Because I think to they always say let go, you know, when you're
Yeah.
hurt. Is that something that's really real? Because I feel like maybe the hurt never goes away. You just kind of learn to live with it or make peace with it.
Yeah, I think it depends on the situation. For me, forgiveness and let go are not the same. So when I think of forgiveness, I think of it more so as like, I'm not going to treat you a type of way, or I'm not going to act towards you a type of way based on what you've done in the past. But that doesn't mean that I don't remember what you did. I think it's foolish to try to make yourself believe that the person didn't do what they did. They did what they did. You're aware of it. And I think it's important to move in a way that protects you, but that movement shouldn't be making them pay for anything.
Right.
You shouldn't be seeking revenge. I think when you don't forgive people, you're naturally seeking some form of vengeance, whether you notice it or not. And that's the difference for me. So when I hear people say, let go, I think that's more so you're telling me to act like this never happened, which I'm not doing.
But isn't that the true definition of forgiveness?
Well, let's look in our handy dandy Google dictionary. Psychologists define forgiveness as a conscious, deliberate decision to release feelings of resentment or vengeance towards a person who has harmed you. Oxford gives the definition, the action or process of forgiving or being forgiven. I hate when they give definitions like that, bro.
If I wrote that in school,
So it's just
it'd be
like you just
F.
use the word twice to define the word. Come on, man. But I would take the first one where when I think of forgiveness, it's like I'm going to treat you as I treat everyone else. I'm not going to treat you different from the next person. But letting go, when I hear people say, let go, it's just like, I think, I don't know if letting go and forgiveness is the same entirely. At least in my mind, I think of letting go is I'm supposed to make believe that this never happened, which would make me foolish. And we are not fools. So I'm going to treat you with respect as I do with the next person. But that doesn't mean I'm going to move through life acting like this experience didn't happen to me. And let's just completely act like it didn't.
Right.
It didn't exist.
Yeah.
No, I've learned from that experience. And now I have wisdom that will allow me, I have knowledge that I'm going to apply to make me wise in future situations. But that doesn't mean I'm going to mistreat you because you did it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But now I'm looking at everyone on a larger scale. Like, I know that this is a possibility. Therefore, to guard myself, I am going to move in a wiser way, but I'm not going to seek revenge or mistreat anyone because of my experience. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when I think of forgiveness, that's what I think of. I'm not holding anything against anyone. I'm moving in a way where like everyone's on the same bracket, but I'm also gaining wisdom through my experiences in life, you know?
But wouldn't cutting someone off be a form of punishment? Like, let's say this is someone that had a really close relationship with you and they did something to harm you. They ask for your forgiveness. You say you forgive them, but you're no longer treating them the same. Like, I get not mistreating them or not treating them less than everyone else, but is it still forgiveness if you no longer treat the person the same way you used to treat them before?
That's a good point. That's a good point. I feel like I haven't been in a situation where someone has hurt me and asked for forgiveness and I did that. So I don't know. But the people that I have cut off, it's because I've seen a cycle, if that makes sense. So it's never like, oh, you did this, bye. It's usually I've monitored the relationship for a long time frame and I've seen the way that you moved. I have conversations and I see that it keeps on happening or whatever the case is. And now I'm making a conscious decision to remove myself from the equation. So I'm not cutting you off to hurt you. I'm cutting you off to protect myself. That doesn't mean I don't care about you or if you need me, I won't be there. Right. It's just I have to move in a way that's going to protect me because you've shown that you are incapable of treating me the way that I feel like I should be treated. You get what I'm saying? So I forgive you in the sense of I'm not looking I'm not looking for revenge.
Payback.
I'm not looking for payback or to like do anything to hurt you. But at the same time, you're not going to have access to me the same way that you did before because the lesson was learned. You feel me?
Yeah. And I think that could be the real big pain point in relationships. Because if you're saying you forgive me, but I noticed that you're treating me differently than you did before, what I'm saying is what happens is I think people who are on this side of the issue, they start to look at you like you didn't really forgive me.
I could see that.
Yeah, and it starts to build up tension and all that.
Well, that's why conversations are important, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why conversations are important, being transparent. If you love the person enough and you really do want to move forward with the relationship, you have a conversation with them about it. But if you don't, then
right.
Hey, you don't.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
And one thing I learned a long time ago is forgiveness is very different than not having to deal with the consequences.
What do you mean?
So like I'm gonna take this spirituality as an example. They say you go to God, you ask him for forgiveness, he forgives you. But that doesn't negate everything you did in the past. Like if you committed a crime or whatever the case is, you still have to deal with the consequences. Yeah, and I think that's
cause and effect.
Right. One of the misunderstandings when it comes to being hurt and forgiving or choosing not to forgive is the person who did the hurt thinks that in order for me to get forgiveness from you, you have to act like it never happened. Versus saying, you know what, I hurt you.
They want their
clean slate. Yeah.
Right.
Or what they should be having an understanding of is I hurt you and I know that I'll have to regain your trust back, or try to work extra hard to prove to you that I won't make this mistake again. And I personally believe that that's when true forgiveness could really occur within a relationship, is if the side that did the hurt is humble enough to say, like we've been together for X amount of years or whatever, I'm willing to stay with you and prove to you that I learned a valuable lesson and I won't make that mistake again. I think that's when true forgiveness happens. But just saying you forgive is not.
So in other words, you think that in order for forgiveness to actually happen, it needs to be both sides. It can't just be one-sided?
Yeah, it can't just be one-sided, but it's more so on the side that did the hurt. Like if I hurt you, you say you forgive me, but then you start throwing, subtle jabs once in a while, I'm going to be hurt. I might be angry or annoyed, but my responsibility then is to say, this is kind of the consequences of my action. I shouldn't say anything back to hurt you or try to get paid back or mention things that you did or whatever.
Yeah,
I just have to learn to build it up. And I do have another question for you, in particular to relationships, not just spousal relationships, but mother, daughter, father, son, siblings. Why do you think that kind of pain hurts the most?
They're the closest to you. I honestly think that's all it is. I think when you're hurt by someone who you genuinely love and you have an expectation that they're supposed to love you in the same way or even more, it hurts more when they hurt you. Just like you said, like a stranger in the street could say something and you're just like, whatever. But if I said those same words, it would scar you a little bit because it's coming from someone that you genuinely care about. I think things hurt more when it's from those that love you. I think, and believe it or not, I actually think those are the people who have the ability to truly hurt you. If you're confident enough in yourself and you're not fazed by other people out there, I think you're usually going to be hurt by those who you genuinely care for.
And I love that you said the word expectation, because I think part of our hurt or just individual hurt is expectation. Like you expected someone to be there for you or to do something, and because they didn't meet that certain criteria, then you feel hurt about it. And I think it's important for everyone to acknowledge, even when you're hurt, where could you have
done better?
And I think that's, I would add that to the other side taking responsibility to say that is what true forgiveness or the path of true forgiveness looks like. You acknowledging that maybe you didn't have the right expectations, and the other side working on just doing better in the long run.
That's good. That's really good. And it goes back to the beginning where we were talking about, like, why do people seek revenge or want to hurt someone if they genuinely do love that person, like in the process of forgiving them or whatever the case is? It's a reminder that your reaction to being hurt often sheds light on who you truly are. You know what I mean? Like sometimes we often try to blame the person who did the hurting, but I think it's also an opportunity to look at yourself and be like, my reaction and how I respond to this really shows my character and who I truly am. Right. And if I'm going to operate in the way that I claim that I say that I am, Yeah.
I heard this powerful saying where everyone you interact with is a reflection of a part of you.
Deep.
Yeah. So
I want you to elaborate on it, though.
Yeah. So
what do you think?
I think of it as everyone in your life is an extension of you to some extent. Like the reason why you feel connected to them is because there's a part of you that's in them as well. And when those people hurt you, or when you feel hurt by those people, sometimes we have to take a step back and say, what is it about me that I need to look at? And I think that's where true growth, and again, back to forgiveness comes from.
Deep. I love that. All right. And we're out. Thank you for spending your time with us. We hope you gained some knowledge today that'll promote poise in your life. We have new episodes uploaded every Thursday right here, same place, same time. Until next time, you can follow us on Instagram at NOIRPOISED Podcast to stay connected. That's NOIRPOISED Podcast. We'd love to hear your feedback.
And remember, your wisdom is power.